Hello, Pond people, Frogopoulos here, and I'm a big fan of the Chucky slash Child's Play movies.
Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
They're a great series of dark comedies with some fantastic animatronics, puppetry, and practical effects. And then you have Brad Dourif, who's just iconic as Chucky.
Sit back and learn from the master.
He's such a great antagonist. He's this perfect blend of comedy and horror because, I mean, he's a killer doll at the end of the day, but Chucky is just such a unpredictable psychopath that he's genuinely menacing and scary. I really like how they've built him up over the years and also added a bunch of other great characters along the way. And this has been consistent for the near 40 years this franchise has been around. I can't really think of an entry in the franchise that I don't like, even though weaker ones have some good stuff in them and I'll gladly watch them again. The fact that it's been around for so long while keeping most of the same people and keeping the same quality throughout even when it got pretty damn silly is kind of a miracle when it comes to horror. But that's not why we're here today. Today we're here to talk about the 2019 remake of the same name. The horror genre has had a lot of prequels, sequels, requels, soft reboots, squeakquels, and whatever term you can think of, to varying success. As much as I love my classics, I don't mind people trying to do something different with them and bringing them to a modern audience. Stuff like the newest Hellraiser, or heck, even the Friday the 13th film from a while back are pretty good. I really enjoyed them. Or you get a cynical cash grab like The Nightmare on Elm Street, or the numerous American remakes of Japanese horror films. I'm looking at you, The Grudge. Saying all this, where does the Child's Play 2019 remake land in all of this? Well, let's talk about it. Do you remember that episode of Treehouse of Horrors where the crusty doll was just set on evil and that's why it was trying to kill everybody? This movie is that, basically. All of this happens because a boss was really shitty to the guy who programs the dolls, and also the poor guy was working in pretty awful conditions, so he turned all the safety features off, including the one that stops them from being violent, which is one hell of a feature to include, and then after boxing him up for shipment, he clocks out of work. I don't mind the whole evil technology angle. I think if they were to do anything with Chucky that isn't the usual possessed doll, this would probably be the next best thing. Of course, knowing that this Chucky is a robot makes you think, well, where would the personality go? That was one of the big things about the original franchise. This time around, he's voiced by Mark Hamill, and he does a pretty good job at being this creepy but well-meaning to a fault robot.
You are my buddy until the end. More than a buddy, you're my best friend.
And by well-meaning, I mean he's going to kill anybody who tries to hurt Andy emotionally or physically. Much like before, Andy gets the Buddi doll. This time around though, his mom, played by Audrey Plaza, who is a great casting choice because she's Audrey Plaza, works at a toy store and receives a defective Buddi doll from someone I swore was Allison Brie but isn't. The actress's name is Hannah Drew. This isn't important to anything, it just tripped me out. So being defective, she's able to convince her manager, hey, can I just take this home and give it to my kid? Nobody can say no to Audrey Plaza, so she gets it and brings it back to Andy. This time around, Andy's older and played by Gabriel Bateman, who does a pretty good job, and this change better suits the more technological angle they're going with. I like this initial scene of Chucky being booted up and just being awkward and creepy as he scans everything and imprints on Andy. If you're wondering, Andy doesn't call him Chucky, he just calls himself Chucky completely unprompted. That's all well and good, but you realize pretty quickly that the writing in this movie is pretty formulaic. Like, oh look, they have a cat. Uh-oh, the cat scratched Andy. I wonder what's gonna happen to the cat. And then even though Chucky did this horrible thing, Andy doesn't get rid of him for whatever convoluted reason, or better yet, chucks him into a fire. Of course, we also need Karen not believing Andy about anything, though we also get some pretty good scenes, like Andy eventually makes friends, which is great, and they watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre too, and that's where Chucky gets his ideas from. Especially the idea for the best scene in the movie. Now stop me if you've heard this one before. Karen has a douchebag boyfriend, and Andy doesn't like him. It doesn't seem like he's very nice to Andy either, so guess he's gotta die. He has this crazy death scene involving Christmas lights, a ladder, and an electric lawnmower. And then when Andy wakes up the next day, he finds out that Chucky had taken off the guy's face, put it on a watermelon, he grew watermelons, don't ask about it, and left it on his dresser for him to find. All of this stuff is some solid dark comedy. I was really enjoying myself, but this is the high point of the movie. Well, this and the ending, but I'll get to that. It's not like everything else after this is terrible, it's just, but how do you top a face on a watermelon? I do like that it leads to this scene where him and his friends ambush Chucky and then tear out his heart. It's pretty cool. We're only halfway through the movie though, so you know Chucky has to come back. After they toss him down the garbage chute, he's found by a creepy electrician. There's a creepy electrician, he works in the apartment building, who finds Chucky and decides to refurbish him, put a new heart in him, and then sell him on the internet. This guy also seems to have a camera in all the apartments, whether they know about it or not. This guy's death is pretty elaborate. When Chucky breaks free, he starts slashing at his legs, which leads him to, of course, run away and get on top of a table. But this is a table saw, so to avoid the table saw, he hangs onto the pipes above him. But Chucky controls the pipes that are, of course, connected to Kazan Industries to make them very hot, so he'll fall down on the now running saw and die. It's very goofy, but it didn't really do much for me, and it's no face on a watermelon. I'm gonna give it a quarter of a watermelon face. From here, Chucky leaves himself at the door of another kid who lives in the apartment called Omar, so Andy can see that he's still alive. Omar calls him Chode. Chucky's feeling pretty betrayed after having his heart literally ripped out, so he's now in his "if I can't have you, nobody can" phase. So he begins to torment Andy. I like how he uses his ability to control technology to turn on the Kazan Industries TVs that taunt him. Speaking of Kazan Industries, Doreen is the sweet old lady that lives across from Andy, and unfortunately for her, she's also talked about how Andy is like a best friend to her. You'll also notice this guy living with her. This is Mike, and he's been investigating all the killings. Unfortunately, this will include his mother's. She's recently gotten herself a fancy new app that lets her order rides from Kazan's self-driving cars. When she gets in one of these cars to go somewhere, Chucky takes control of it and starts driving her recklessly all around town, ping-ponging her around, until eventually crashing her into another car. Though she does get this amazing line in.
Hobbit motherfucker!
After crashing, Chucky starts to taunt her through the car's voice box before popping up and stabbing her. This is a really good tense moment. It's a great jump scare and points for creativity. This one's going to get 3/4 of a watermelon head. From here, Chucky continues to torment Andy, even showing him the death footage of poor Doreen. This causes him to freak out and destroy the television, much to the shock of his mother. Karen herself has been going through some shit during the course of the movie. First, she finds out that not only was her ex-boyfriend cheating on her and had a whole family of his own, but also that he's dead. On top of that, she has to deal with the fact that Andy's been acting weird and erratic, and that Mickey Rooney, that was the name of the cat, didn't escape. He's also dead. Him frantically trying to tell his mother that it's Chucky who's doing this stuff and her not believing him is cliche, but at least they built up to it well enough that it's not bad. It's a pretty good scene. And she'll be believing him soon enough. So we're at the climax and we're at Zedmart. It's the launch night for Buddi 2, a better Buddi. I really like this climax. It's a lot of chaotic fun. Chucky takes control of the electronics, which includes the other Buddi dolls, and it's just pure mayhem. While trying to escape, Andy notices that Chucky kidnapped his mom. I have no idea how Chucky would find the time to do any of this, but you know what? His brilliance knows no bounds. Andy rescuing his mom and the confrontation between him and Chucky is pretty good, and Mike gets to get its revenge, so that's nice. Karen rips his head off. So hey, that's a pretty satisfying death. They literally take him out to a back alley and smash his head in. Despite its somewhat average writing and predictable plot, I didn't mind because it was obvious they wanted to make a fun horror movie, and they did. Which is why it's such a shame that it's so pointless. This might sound silly, but the Chucky franchise means a lot to me. I mean, I'm sure you got that idea from the whole intro I did, but when I saw they were doing a 2019 movie and that none of the original people were attached and Don Mancini wanted nothing to do with it, I, in turn, wrote it off and didn't watch it until recently. We didn't need a Child's Play remake. We had a Chucky movie 2 years ago, and Don Mancini was still actively working on the series. But since MGM owns the rights to the first movie, they just decided that they're gonna remake it anyway. To their credit, they did ask him if he wanted to be an executive producer on the film, but he thought it was all pretty pointless because he has his own Chucky. While I'm not thrilled about the story about how it was made, I can at least admire the fact that they didn't half-ass it. This isn't the cynical cash grab I was worried it was going to be. While it wouldn't have affected my score too much for the film, I do appreciate the fact that they did a lot of practical effects with CG. As goofy as Chucky looks in this one, it is effectively kinda creepy. You know it works. And Mark Hamill was perfect casting to voice him. And it did encourage me to rekindle my love for this franchise, which I cannot praise enough. If you haven't watched any of the more recent ones in the past 10 or so years, Curse and Cult of Chucky are really good, and the TV show is pretty great. I would suggest watching all of it. It's a wild ride. I'm going to give Child's Play 2019 3 watermelon heads out of 5. So I'm going to add that original Chucky could totally kick this guy's ass in a fight. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, or leave a little comment. Either way, I'm just happy you stopped by. Have a great day. Bye.
This is for Tupac.